So we're playing the London system. You start with d4, f6. f6 is a book move. I immediately thought he's gonna do the King's Indian defense, but with the King's the good thing about the London system is the setup is pretty normal for the most part. The King's Indian defense, if he would have gone there, I would have had to I'd have to castle alongside. But instead he goes knight c7, c6. Excellent. Then I reinforce the whole idea with his pawn in the London system. It just protects his knight, right? Or protects his pawn from the knight. He goes out here, d6. I move my knight to f3. He brings out his bishop. So I've seen this plenty of times when I played the London system. When the moment I see these knights, this knight and his light squared bishop out, they're targeting here. And the whole idea is that my opponent wants to go here and put me in check. And that check is being protected by this bishop, and I would lose a rook. If I were to try to take with the if I would take with the queen, I would lose a queen. So I would have to lose a bishop, rook. I see that already because I've played so many games like that. But I'm gonna stick to the game plan. Here I push out this bishop. Excuse me, I can't speak today. Pawn to c4. The whole idea with pawn to c4 is I'm gonna get this knight to c3 and play more of a Queen's Gambit style approach. Apparently bishop d3 is best. What is that, d3? So offering a bishop exchange. That whole bishop exchange would prevent this whole ordeal. But I don't like that. I just, not my cup of tea. Here, this is a blunder. This is, he blundered a knight, and there's a way you blunder a knight. I mentioned this whole tactic before, and it seems super easy. It seems very like a good plan, but it's actually really bad, and you could easily fight against it. Now, if I were to do here, I would immediately lose, because then he would put me in check and take my rook. And if I decided to take, I now lose a queen, and now I'm losing the game. So the moment I see this, if you're wondering why knight to b4 is a blunder, this whole ordeal, because you could win that knight potentially. How? Put him in check. You put him in check, immobilizes the knight. The best thing my opponent could do is block the check with the knight, preventing me taking from the knight. But my opponent, I guess he was like, oh dang, I never seen this move before, because this move worked on me before. He decides to block with the pawn. Not a bad move, but now I take his knight. So this is why this whole shebang of the knight, if we go back a few, this whole knight and bishop trade seems good, but at higher levels you won't see this because it's super easy to defend against. So then my opponent goes a5. a5 is best because it's just his b7 pawn is really weak, and he's just trying to kick out my knight. My queen. So I move back my queen. One square. I want to maintain pressure a little bit, and if he were to try to apply too much pressure on me, like for example, if he were to push his pawn again, I'll go back to my original square. Here he goes, pushes out his pawn to e5. I take, he takes, take. I don't think he calculated. Yes, the d file is open, but I'm not too concerned about it at this moment. I just felt like, you can't checkmate me at that. My opponent moves out his knight. The whole idea with his knight is to go back. I decide to then develop my knight. I was okay with this exchange, because if he were to take, I would take. So it's like, I get to develop my knight. At this point, I don't know if this is the best, but when I feel like I'm at a winning advantage, I'm okay with trading off some pieces, if it means I'm continuing my development. Because if you notice, blacks, their whole development really weak, right? I can't. If that whole ordeal with the knight and bishop exchange if they would have gone black's favor, they would be winning. But you see, not the best. So not only did I win a free knight, their development is really bad. Any evaluation bar says I have a 4.1 advantage for white. He takes, I take. Simple exchanges, nothing crazy. Here, kicks out his bishop. Kick out the bishop, trying to pin my knight. I was like, okay, that's fine. And I decide to defend. The whole idea is if he were to take, I could activate my rook. I probably would just. I think I'd end up taking with the queen because I wanted my rook defending my first rank. Queen e7 is best. Why is queen e7 best? Because it's just reinforcing this as well as attacking this knight. So you see, sometimes you gotta pay attention to everything, because if I were to if I'm so focused on this pin, I would lose a knight. Not only would I lose a knight, then he'll be attacking this this knight, and I think I think the game would start going in his favor if I were to let that happen. So I see that. I move my knight out. The whole idea with this knight is also, hey, get out the way. He takes, take back. I'm glad I did that. If I would have taken with the rook, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. But still a good move. But hey, now I got a lot of control. My opponent long castles, best move for him, because now this open d file is right for the picking if my opponent can play right. However, just because they have open d file, look at the evaluation board. Almost 5 points of material advantage for white. I kick out this pawn. The whole idea with this pawn is I'm trying to get rid of this, clear the A and B file. My opponent goes here, brings out his queen e4. I respond by just taking. I was like, hey, if he thinks he's gonna go here, offering a queen exchange, that's not gonna happen because I have this bishop. So this knight is defended by 2 defenders, but it's also being attacked by 2 defenders. So then my opponent decides to take with a rook. The computer's saying is a good move, but if you notice, just because you're making good computer moves, at this point, it's not changing the advantage for black. I would have to blunder at this point to lose the game. So yeah, it was good. It was a good move. This was a good move, but he said apparently the computer wanted me to take. The whole idea with taking is you're just simplifying the board, right? It's like now we're at an endgame. The queen's gone. That's what the computer wanted. I thought about that. I was like, hey man, if I take with the queen, we're getting rid of the queens, and now we're in the end game. I don't know. I don't feel that comfortable doing that because I'm like, I don't have to. So why would I do that? But I take with the bishop. Here, first mistake. Oh, why is that a first mistake? Because it prevents the whole queen exchange. The computer still wants me to do that. It just the computer analysis board wants the game to go to the end game, and but by moving his queen, taking on g2, he prevents that. Here, now I check. This was a great move. I saw that check too. I was like, oh wow, now that's a free bishop, and it's a check. Opponent goes queen b8. I now move my rook. The whole idea with his rook is if you take, I take. So then he starts taking pawns. I was like, okay, that's fine. I move my queen out. So the whole idea with moving my king to d2 is that I want to get my king on this side, and that way I don't have to worry about any dumb checks. Here he checks, which is fine. I move back. Moves out his pawn. The whole idea with his pawn is that I think he saw that the queen had an easy pickings right here, and he didn't want that. I don't care. Queen b1's best, because now my king is safe. There's no way he's going to check me when I have a rook up and a bishop. I just got to be very careful. So then he moves out his king. So then I go here. I'm offering a rook exchange. Here, I'm at 7.5 points of advantage, almost 8 points of advantage. The computer does not want him to exchange, because now he's really going to lose. But that's what he decides to do. Notice, a rook exchange is fine, but the moment he accepts a rook exchange, we're now mate in 17. Or mate in 8, rather. So if I play 8 moves, I could checkmate him. Here he takes again. Now it's mate in 5. I check. Not the best move. I'm kind of delaying the checkmate opportunity. I'm not going to lie to you. At this point in my skill level, I didn't see mate in 8. I was like, I don't have a computer in front of my hands. So now it goes mate to 4. Bad move. So then I check. He goes mate in 3. I check again. I don't know why it's super laggy. Sorry about that. Now it's mate in 2. He delays it. Mate in 2, and then my opponent resigns. My opponent would literally have to go here, and then that would have been checkmate. This was a really good game. I'm really happy about how it went. Despite me switching from d4 to e4, I have the most experience with the London system. So, you know, the more you practice an opening, especially at lower elo, you're going to see how your opponent fights or tries to combat you. And if we go back to this whole shebang, right? This seems really good. And if you never experienced it, you will lose a rook or potentially a queen if you're not paying attention to the diagonal. But that takes experience. That also takes me losing a bunch of games falling for this trap. And then I'm like, all right, let me pay attention to what my opponent's doing. Thanks for watching.